Our second wedding anniversary was supposed to be a big night, but Iris, who had promised to be at my book launch, never showed up. That evening, I took a terrible fall from a raised platform at the event and was quickly taken to the hospital for an operation, but I couldn't manage to get a hold of her. Later, scrolling through my phone's social feed, I saw that she was out celebrating her male assistant's birthday. When she finally found out I was injured, she rushed to the hospital with eyes red and panicked. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. I looked back at her and pretended to have amnesia. "Who are you? And why would I tell you anything?" The stage lift at the launch event failed, causing me to fall. Lying in the ambulance, I watched Noah, my best friend, frantically trying to call Iris for me. He dialed her number again and again, but there was no answer. Just as I felt despair wash over me and my eyes began to close, the phone rang. Noah picked it up, and Iris's voice came through first. It was the same as always, a little cold, a little indifferent. She said, "Liam, something came up tonight, so I can't make it to your launch. Go celebrate with your friends when you're done." In that moment, all the pain and misery I was feeling felt magnified 100 times over. Before I could even manage to say a word, she hung up. Noah was furious and immediately tried to call back to yell at her, but her phone was already switched off. The woman I had idealized was as cold and distant as the moon in the sky. Iris and I had known each other since we were children. Our families were longtime friends, and I had been deeply in love with her for 12 years, ever since we were teenagers. We came from similar backgrounds, and our tastes and values seemed perfectly matched. Starting in middle school, we were always in the same class, at the same school, consistently ranked first or second in our grade. She was reserved and didn't talk much, but we could still spend hours talking about a million different things every single day. I genuinely thought I was special to her, that she loved me just as much as I loved her. But now, less than 2 years into our marriage, that dream was about to completely shatter. She had started staying out late, always using excuses about business trips. But I knew the actual truth. She'd fallen for another man. And tonight, she had forgotten our second anniversary and blown off my major book launch, all to go see him. My leg was broken, and the edge of the lift had scraped the back of my head, leaving a nasty cut. After the doctor stitched me up, he told me I needed to stay for observation. Noah had to go home, but he tried calling Iris a few more times, hoping she would finally come and stay with me. Still no answer. Just a busy signal. I told Noah to go home, assuring him that I would call a nurse if I needed anything. Once things quieted down, the pain and misery came flooding back, twice as strong. The numbing effect of the stitches' anesthetic had long worn off, leaving behind only a searing pain. It hurt so much that I couldn't even think about sleeping. I opened my phone and scrolled through my social media feed. I saw that the new male assistant Iris had recently hired was celebrating his birthday tonight. The caption read, "My boss didn't just celebrate my birthday with me, she also got me a limited edition watch. The best boss in the world." The woman in the picture, smiling so gently, was the same woman who slept next to me every night. Iris. While I was lying in a hospital bed, unable to reach her, she was out celebrating with that guy. It looked like Iris really did have strong feelings for him. That's why she kept him so close. I opened the cloud storage for our home security cameras. I watched the footage until 2:30 a.m., when the front door finally opened. Iris took off her coat and walked straight into the bedroom. She didn't even seem to notice I wasn't home. She just lay down and went to sleep. The next morning, she got up, noticed there was no breakfast on the table, paused for a moment, and then just left for the office. In our 2 years of marriage, I had gotten into the habit of waking up early every day to make her breakfast. Iris was a picky eater, so I always tried to make her different things. Her friends all used to say she had married the perfect husband. They even joked that just for the breakfasts alone, she could never leave me. Iris would just smile then, turn to me and say, "You don't have to work so hard. We can just hire a cook." "It's not the same," I would insist. "This is breakfast made with love." But now I think she just loved the breakfast itself. It probably didn't matter to her if it was me who made it. There are thousands of breakfast spots out there. No one is truly irreplaceable. Noah showed up first thing in the morning. When he saw Iris wasn't there, he started shouting curses and tried to call her again. Her husband gets into an accident, and she's nowhere to be found for a whole day. What could possibly be more important than your husband? "Don't call her," I said. I wanted to see exactly how long it would take for her to remember me. Before she had a chance to remember me, though, I saw her at the hospital. Iris, my wife, was helping her male assistant as they waited in line at the pharmacy. The guy didn't look as handsome in person as he did in the photos, but he was the complete opposite of me. He was bright, energetic, and had a rebellious, boyish vibe. "Thanks for bringing me to the hospital, Ms. Reed," he said. "It's nothing," Iris replied, handing him a carton of milk and a container of dumplings. "You have low blood sugar, and you still skip breakfast. You're so reckless." The assistant was about to say something else when his eyes suddenly landed on me, waiting by the elevator. He froze for a second, then his expression shifted to one of alarm, like a startled dog, but it quickly morphed into a look of concern. "Mr. Kent?" he asked, his voice full of worry. Iris followed his gaze and saw me. She looked completely stunned. "Liam Ding," she murmured. The elevator arrived. Noah was about to charge over and confront them, but I quietly stopped him. I told him to hurry up and push me into the elevator. The moment the doors closed, the knot in my stomach finally loosened. Noah was baffled. "Iris is cheating on you, taking some pretty boy to the hospital, and you can just take it?" "What else am I supposed to do?" I asked. My upbringing wouldn't allow me to make a scene in a crowded public place. I had convinced myself for days and nights on end that as long as she never said the words, I could just pretend I didn't know. But just now, seeing the gentle warmth she showed her assistant, a warmth I'd never felt when she told him, "You're so reckless," I knew we were over. She had really betrayed me. She had betrayed the love I had held for her for over a decade. But if I was going to be miserable, she wasn't getting off easy. Iris called me, but I didn't answer. She called Noah. Noah gave her my room number. As a wife, all she had left for me was a sense of duty, a chain that forced her to come running to my hospital room. She stood at the door, panting, looking at me with an expression of extreme urgency and concern. "Liam." She felt guilty that she wasn't there for me the moment I got hurt last night. Of course, she felt even guiltier that while I was suffering and my life was potentially on the line, she was out celebrating another man's birthday. She walked to my bedside and sat down. "Liam, why didn't you tell me you were in an accident?" All those unanswered calls were like my sinking heart. I didn't want to hear any of her excuses. I spoke before she could. "Who are you? And why would I tell you anything?" Iris was stunned. Noah was shocked too, but as my best friend, he'd always understood me better than Iris, my own wife. He got it. Iris looked at me, realizing I wasn't joking. For a moment, a flash of panic crossed her face. She stood up and said she was going to find a doctor. After she left, Noah asked me why I was faking amnesia. I was silent for a moment, then said quietly, "I want to make her sick. And I want to make her pay." A few doctors came in and performed some basic checks. All my vitals were fine, except for the fact that I didn't remember Iris. Before the doctor left the room, he patted her on the shoulder. "Ms. Reed, you really should take better care of your husband." I saw her expression darken. She looked furious. She sat by the bed, and I sat on it. We were so close, yet a world apart. I watched her silently, listening as she tried to prove she was really my wife. She said she'd bought an estate in my name after we got married and decorated it exactly how I liked. She said we'd been married for 2 years and that yesterday was our anniversary, and that I had loved her since we were kids. See? She knew perfectly well that yesterday was our anniversary, but she still went to see another guy. It's not that she didn't know, she just didn't care. I smiled and cut her off. "Ms. Reed, you say you're my wife, so why weren't you there on our anniversary when I had my accident?" Iris's face changed. I looked at her, my smile gentle. "You were at the hospital with another man." She panicked, reaching out to grab my hand. "Liam, don't be ridiculous. You're the only husband I have. Ethan is just my assistant." "Just an assistant? Funny, because that man looked more like your husband than I do." I lay back down and turned my back to her. I heard a sigh from behind me. "Liam," Iris said, "I'll keep my distance from him from now on." I didn't answer. She knew damn well the best way to keep her distance was to fire him, but she didn't. A good partner should have boundaries with everyone of the opposite sex. If you can't even do that, why pretend to be so deeply in love with me? After I was discharged, Iris took me home. She started leaving for work late and coming home early. She would wake up every morning to make me breakfast, and we'd eat together. I've known her for over a decade and lived with her for 2 years, and I never knew she could cook. I used to wake up early and make her all sorts of things for breakfast because I loved her, and it made me happy. I wonder if she's making me breakfast now because she suddenly loves me, or because she just feels guilty. Women are like that. They know how to do a lot of things, but they pretend they don't, banking on your love for them while they watch you struggle. They measure the depth of your love by how much you do for them. This constant scorekeeping in love is exhausting. After breakfast, I took the dishes to the kitchen. I figured Iris had already left for work like she usually did, but when I came out, I found her waiting for me in the living room. "Liam," she said softly, "you forgot something very important." I wasn't really suffering from amnesia, but I racked my brain and couldn't figure out what she was talking about. She sighed, walked over to me, and looked up at my face. She leaned in helplessly and kissed my forehead. "Liam, you haven't given me my good morning kiss yet." I froze for a second, then took a step back. She looked a bit frustrated. "You really need to get your memory back soon." A smile played on her lips. "I'm off to work, Liam." I looked at her and said nothing. She thought I really didn't remember, so she lied to me. There was no good morning kiss. There never was. Shortly after we got married, I suggested it, but she refused, saying that true love shouldn't get bogged down in trivial details. This sudden change of heart? I guess she was trying to do some damage control, probably just a guilty conscience. She came home early to make dinner. I was sitting in the living room watching TV when she turned around and said, "Liam, there's a Chamber of Commerce gala on Sunday. If you're feeling up to it, would you like to go with me?" I paused while changing the channel and looked at her. "Is it mandatory to bring a date?" She shook her head. "Not really." I changed the channel again and looked at her. "Can you go by yourself?" She got the message. I didn't want to go. "Then I'll just go by myself and come right back," she said with a nod. "I'll be back early to be with you." She emphasized that she would go alone. But earlier today, when Noah and I were out, I clearly saw her male assistant trying on suits at a designer store. The kid saw Noah and me and deliberately announced loud enough for us to hear that he was escorting his boss to the gala and had to look his best. An employee like him would never splurge on a fancy outfit like that, unless he was told to. Iris had already told him to be her date for the gala. He was judging my importance based on how Iris treated me. I guess he didn't see me as much of a threat. That's why he was so bold in front of me. Iris asking if I wanted to go was probably her way of covering her bases. That way, even if I found out later that she went with her assistant, she could claim the moral high ground and say that since I didn't want to go, she had no choice but to ask him. Suddenly, the TV show seemed completely boring. I got up and went to my room. I ended up going to the gala anyway. It was Noah's first time representing his family's company, and he insisted on bringing me along. To be honest, I also wanted to see if Iris really showed up with that guy. The reception was filled with a lot of big names from the business world. People were mingling, and a few who recognized me came over to say hello. Noah was scanning the room for Iris, but there was no need to look. I knew where she was the moment I walked in. She was wearing a perfectly tailored black gown, her presence so commanding that she stood out in the crowd. But the young man in a white tuxedo by her side was a jarring sight. It was that assistant, Ethan. Noah lost it before I did, pulling me over toward them. I hadn't wanted to make things awkward for either of us, but at that moment I couldn't afford to lose face. Noah and I walked right up to them. Noah called out, "Well, Ms. Reed, you're a lucky woman, having such a handsome assistant as your date to the gala." Iris turned her head, and when she saw me, her face instantly fell. She looked horrified. She pulled her arm away from where Ethan had it tucked and started to reach for me. I didn't flinch. I just looked at her calmly and said with a small laugh, "Alex has a bit of stage fright. He needed me to come with him." Pretending not to care, I gently brushed her hand away. "Your assistant doesn't look too happy. Shouldn't you check on him?" The onlookers who were watching the drama unfold exchanged nervous glances. Iris looked mortified. The assistant looked even worse. I ignored them both, took Noah's arm, and walked out of the ballroom. The second we were away from the crowd, I couldn't keep my composure anymore. My fists were clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms, the sharp sting of pain the only thing keeping me steady. "Liam, are you okay? You don't look well. I'll take you home," Noah said. Noah was supposed to be representing his family's company tonight. If he left this early, his dad would kill him. I told him I was fine on my own and hailed a cab. Iris rushed home soon after. She came straight to my room, but I had locked the door. "Liam," her voice, low and pained, came from the other side of the door. "You said you didn't want to go. That's the only reason I asked Ethan to come with me. He's good with people. He can help me fend off a lot of unnecessary networking." In the dark, I stared up at the ceiling and said softly, "You said you'd keep your distance from him." Hearing my response, she eagerly tried to prove her loyalty. "I'm sorry. I promise it will never happen again. And if it does—" She paused for a moment, then said firmly, "Then you can do whatever you want with me." I said, "Okay." The assistant asked to meet me. I showed up on time, but he was more than 10 minutes late. When he finally arrived, he said smugly, "Sorry, Ms. Reed needed me for something urgent. I had to take care of it." He had a youthful face, impeccably groomed, and an attitude as sharp as a porcupine's quill. He was a handsome kid, but he definitely wasn't smart. At the very least, he shouldn't have come strutting in front of me like this. I took a sip of my sweetened coffee. The cloying taste made me look up at him. "You wanted to see me about something?" "Mr. Kent, Your taste is quite different from Ms. Reed's." Ethan waved over a waiter. "An Americano. No ice." He turned back to me, a provocative smile on his face. "Ms. Reed and I have very similar tastes. We both love Americanos." "So you came here to tell me you want to be the other man and steal my wife?" Perhaps because I was so direct, my gaze so unflinching, he faltered. "I—" A scream echoed through the coffee shop. I had just poured the rest of my sugary coffee over his head. "Is your life really so miserable that you have to get your kicks from being a homewrecker? Oh wait, you're not even that yet, and you're already showing off in front of me." His eyes blazed with anger and resentment. Like a cornered wolf cub, he tried to lash out. "Liam Kent, she's not interested in you anymore." Hearing my name come out of his mouth only made me angrier. I slapped him across the face. "What do you think Iris would do if she found out you came here to taunt me? She'd kick you to the curb in a heartbeat, right?" I had hit a nerve. His face turned pale. If he could actually win Iris over, he wouldn't have needed to come to me. He was gambling on my vulnerability and sensitivity, hoping I would go and make a scene with Iris. It was just like at the hospital when he saw me. There was a glint in his eye, which is why he called out to me, making sure Iris knew I'd caught her with another guy. Even back then, he was betting that seeing Iris with him at the hospital would make me go home and start a fight. And if I fought with her, it would give him the opening he needed. "You're just some rich kid who relies on his family. We're both men. I'm just as good-looking as you. Why do you get to live a life of leisure, spending Miss Reed's money without a care in the world, while I can't?" The other customers in the coffee shop were giving him strange looks. I laughed. "Why? Because my family is the biggest shareholder in her company. Because I secured the funding for her company, one drink at a time, begging for it at countless dinners. Because when she was at her lowest, I was the one who pulled her up." I stood up and looked down at him. "Because I was born at the finish line. I represent a class that an opportunist like you will never be able to reach in your entire life." I was by Iris's side as she grew up, from our school days to the cutthroat business world. I was always the one fighting our way through every challenge with her. Even when her family's company was on the verge of collapse, I was the one begging my dad, my brother, and my uncles to invest, to give her the foundation she has today. Without me, she might have succeeded eventually, but it wouldn't have been this smooth or this fast. As I was about to leave, Ethan called out to me. He didn't think he had lost. At the very least, he believed he could still cling to Iris, his ticket to a higher social class. "Liam Kent, want to make a bet? You're not that important to Iris." I wasn't angry. I just looked at him calmly. "Sure." Lately, Iris had been treating me really well. She made time every day to go for walks with me or visit bookstores. She even went out of her way to cook me delicious things. At night, when I tried to go to my own room, she would sneak in and refuse to leave. I would lie with my back to her, and she would wrap her arms around my waist from behind. She'd whisper, "Liam, I feel like you've been a little cold to me. Is it because you still don't remember?" I mumbled a quiet, "Mm-hmm." The room fell silent again. She's so clueless. If I had forgotten everything, forgotten that you were with your assistant while I was falling from that stage, maybe I would still be completely devoted to you, just like before. I might have even believed you when you said he was just an assistant. But because I never lost my memory, because I remember everything, I don't know how to act around you anymore. Liam, you're so important to me. If I'm so important, then why do you keep testing my limits, keep hurting me? And why do you still keep that assistant around? You used to always say you wanted to go to Mount Washington. How about we go climb it the day after tomorrow? I've heard that if a couple in love climbs Mount Washington and makes a sincere wish, they'll stay together forever. For 2 years, I had suggested we go many times, but Iris was always too busy with work and could never find the time, so eventually I lost interest. Now that she was bringing it up again, I wasn't excited, but I didn't want to be a downer. So I agreed. For the 2 days leading up to our trip, Iris barely went to the office, staying home to be with me. She was busy booking flights, planning our itinerary, and making a list of all the skincare products and clothes I'd need, packing everything for me. I didn't have to lift a finger. She handled it all perfectly. The weather on the day of our departure was perfect. Iris was like a little girl going on her first trip, excitedly waking me up. I looked at the mountain of bags she had packed for me and laughed. We're only going for a week. As long as we have money, we can buy whatever we need there. She shook her head, saying she was worried I wouldn't be used to new things, and that the bags were mostly filled with supplements for my recovery anyway. It was such a simple gesture of care, but it felt so good. If things could stay this good, I thought, then I could keep pretending, keep acting like I didn't know anything. But on the drive to the airport, a call came in from her assistant. His voice was choked with sobs, thick with distress. "Ms. Reed, it's bad. Zach has a high fever that won't break. He's at the hospital and he just keeps crying for you. His mom, Sarah, is out of town and I can't reach her. I don't know what to do. You're the only one in this city who's ever been kind to him." Iris's expression changed instantly. Her voice hardened. "I'll have Mr. Chen go over. You wait there. You're the only person I can trust." Iris's hands tightened on the steering wheel, her face grim. She glanced at me, hesitating. Finally, she spoke. "Liam, Ethan has an emergency. His son is sick. I have to go take care of it first. Can we change our tickets to a later flight tonight?" I looked at her and said, "You told me you would keep your distance from him. As for his problem, there are hundreds of people at the company. You could send any one of them to help. If all else fails, he can call the police." Iris bit her lip, saying nothing. Her expression reverted to the cold, familiar mask I knew so well. We drove on for a little longer, but her mind was clearly elsewhere. She started speeding, driving recklessly, as if my life meant nothing to her. Her face was a storm cloud, like I was the one who had done something wrong. But all I did was not want my wife to go to another man. I sighed. "Just go." The moment the words left my mouth, she slammed on the brakes. I didn't hesitate. I got out of the car and pulled my luggage from the trunk. She looked at me, her face full of guilt. "Liam, just call a car to the airport and wait for me. I'll be back soon." I said, "Okay, drive safe." Stranded on the side of a highway on the outskirts of the city, with cars speeding past and a bitter wind blowing, my eyes started to sting. They say that people who are destined to be together, connected by the red string of fate, will be blessed with a lifetime of happiness if they pray at Mount Washington. Conversely, if they're not meant to be, they'll soon be pulled apart. I didn't even make it there, and I already knew we weren't meant to be. Iris had just severed the last chance I was willing to give her. I called Noah to come pick me up. When he heard I'd been dumped on the side of the road, he was furious and wanted to go chew Iris out again. I didn't stop him this time. When I got home, I packed up all my things. I cut my own image out of our wedding photos, threw it in the trash, and cleared out every trace of myself before leaving. My phone buzzed with a text from the assistant. It was smug. "Mr. Kent, I win." He thought that because Iris went to him, he would win her love, her money, and her status. But he still wasn't very smart. I had already told him that everything she had was built with my help. What I can give, I can also take away. I texted back, "Mr. Chen, relying on a woman will only bring you misfortune. Business is war. My family has been wealthy for 4 generations. We are not sheep. It doesn't matter if Iris loves me or not anymore. I'm completely done with her. Since the love is gone, I'm taking back everything I gave her. I'm not about to let some lowlife benefit from my loss. When I got home, I told my dad and the rest of my family that I wanted a divorce. They supported my decision. My brother handed over his position as second in command to me. He said, "We've got your back. Don't let yourself be wronged." The moment I became the new vice president of the Kent Corporation, I issued a directive. Cut all ties with Iris Reed's company. Iris's company was doing well, but 2 years ago her father had an affair and her parents went through a nasty divorce. Her mother took half the company's shares, causing a mass exodus of shareholders and leaving the company a hollow shell. It was my family and my uncles who stepped in to help, all because I had married her. Over the past 2 years, with the support of my family's projects, her company rose from the ashes and regained its former glory. But compared to my family's corporation, it was like comparing an ant to an elephant. If our families were once evenly matched, the last 2 years changed everything. While Iris's company was recovering and growing, my family's was soaring, expanding, transforming from a chicken into a hawk. And hawks eat chickens. The next day, my divorce papers and the notice of contract termination arrived at her office. Iris started calling me frantically, but I was busy. I didn't have time to answer. Within a day, the news that the Kent Corporation had severed ties with Reed Industries was all over the business world. Business people are sharks. They swarm wherever there's blood in the water. As the heir to the Kent Empire, my investment in Reed Industries 2 years ago was a signal to everyone in New York City that the company was untouchable. Everyone else had jumped in to get a piece of the pie. Now that we were actively pulling out, even a fool could see what was coming. Reed Industries was in trouble. The smart ones bailed immediately, trying to avoid the fallout. Within a single day, Reed Industries was in chaos. Iris called me countless times. Just like when I was injured and called her, all she got was a busy signal. When I got home that evening, I saw my parents hosting Iris in the living room, though neither of them looked happy to see her. When she saw me, Iris rushed over. "Liam, I was wrong the other day. I shouldn't have left you alone." Before she could finish, my dad picked up a teacup from the table and smashed it at her feet. Tea and porcelain shards scattered, splashing near her shoes. "You disgraceful woman! I entrusted my son to you, and this is how you treat him!" The living room was dead silent. Iris stood frozen, her face ashen. The scene was incredibly tense. My brother said, "Just sign the divorce papers." Iris looked up at me, her eyes dark and unreadable. When I didn't react, she said in a hoarse voice, "Liam, I really do love you, and you love me too. You've just forgotten because of the amnesia. Can't we please not end up like this?" I looked up at her, a smirk playing on my lips. "Sorry, but I never had amnesia, and I remember that you never really loved me that much to begin with." Iris's pupils contracted. Her face went pale, but her expression remained defiant. I hadn't wanted to make our separation so ugly, but she just couldn't get it through her head. She had hurt me enough, and now, in front of my family, she was putting on this innocent act, playing the emotional card she had always despised. Adults have to take responsibility for their actions. "Ms. Reed, let's make this a clean break." Iris's eyes welled up as she stared at me. Realizing there was no turning back, she looked at my dad. "Fine, we can get a divorce, but you can't go after my company." My dad readily agreed, assuring her the terms of the settlement wouldn't be punitive. But even if we didn't actively try to crush her, without our backing, no other company would give her a second look. Just because we weren't going after Reed Industries didn't mean we couldn't support other businesses. After pulling our capital from her company, I immediately invested it in her main competitor, Lynn Corp., run by Chloe Lynn. In any given industry, resources are finite. When one rises, another must fall. The Kent Corporation's support for Lynn Corp. Instantly brought them a flood of new opportunities. Iris stormed into my brother's office but left with a grim look on her face. I could guess what she wanted, but my brother is an old fox. He probably just told her that not targeting her company didn't mean we couldn't invest elsewhere. Iris was running around, begging for funding. Meanwhile, her assistant found Noah and me while we were having coffee. He looked at me like I was his mortal enemy. "Liam Kent, you bastard! Just because you're rich, you think you can destroy a woman when you can't have her love. And after Ms. Reed loved you so much, you don't deserve her!" I laughed out loud. "Mr. Chen, have you forgotten? You were the one telling me Ms. Reed wasn't interested in me anymore. You're a real piece of work. One minute you're biting the hand that feeds you, the next you're begging for scraps. You change your tune faster than the weather. Yes, my family is rich. If you're so capable, why don't you get your ancestors to send you some cash so you can throw your weight around? You want to use sex to get money and power, but at the same time, you hate the rich. Mr. Chen, if you have a personality disorder, you should see a doctor, not me. They won't judge you for your lack of morals and shame. Here's a piece of advice. Relying on a woman is a dead end. Your own ability is the only stepping stone to a higher class. The elite don't like idiots." Ethan's face turned livid. He stormed off in a rage. But he did listen to me, just not completely. While Iris was down and out, he stole the company's technical data and tried to sell it to Lynn Corp. Chloe Lynn and Iris were rivals, but not enemies. With our partnership, her company was thriving. She had no need for such underhanded tactics. More importantly, Chloe had no interest in Reed Industries' outdated technology. Iris called the police on Ethan. He was arrested for corporate espionage and is currently awaiting trial. There were a lot of details to iron out for our joint project with Lynn Corp., so Chloe and I were often seen together. The media started reporting that Chloe and I were a perfect match and that a wedding was on the horizon. Chloe sent me a screenshot of a news article. What do you think? I thought about the decade I spent chasing after Iris like a caged animal, my every emotion dictated by her. I had lost all desire for love. It just seemed pointless. But maximizing my interests was another story. I replied to Chloe, "It's worth a try. Smart people can understand each other with just a few words." For my dad's birthday, he invited many of New York City's top entrepreneurs. I stepped out of the car in a custom-tailored suit, with the equally stunning Chloe Lynn on my arm, as we walked down the red carpet. The executives hoping to network with my family, knowing nothing about our situation, immediately started gushing about what a perfect couple Chloe and I were. Chloe could barely contain her smile. I, on the other hand, didn't really care. As soon as we walked in, I saw Iris's gaze locked on me. She looked worn out. Her beautiful face had lost its radiance, making her pantsuit seem wrinkled and drab. She walked towards me, her eyes filled with a deep, cloying affection, and called my name. "Liam." I instinctively moved closer to Chloe, frowning as I looked at her coldly. It was as if she couldn't register my disdain. She took another step forward, her eyes fixed on me. "Liam, are you and Chloe Lynn together?" I looked at her face and said slowly, "None of your damn business." With that, I took the arm of a gleefully expectant Chloe and turned to leave. Later, when I stepped outside for some air, Iris followed me like a ghost. "Liam, can we get back together?" I rolled my eyes. Women can be so masochistic. They don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. I chuckled. Do you really think you're good enough for me now? That one sentence made Iris stand up straight, her face turning deathly pale. Are you saying that because I'm broke and have no money now? I didn't answer her. I just went back into the party. But my heart still ached. She still didn't understand why I left her. Iris was desperately looking for investors. She even managed to get her mother's shares back, but Reed Industries was already hollowed out. All the key employees had left. It was like a house with holes in every wall. No matter how much new furniture you put inside, it wouldn't look good for long. To make matters worse, Iris's mother knew nothing about management, but insisted on getting involved in every decision, stuffing the company with useless relatives. Iris was hamstrung at every turn, constantly putting out one fire only for another to start. Even with her abilities, she couldn't turn the tide in a company plagued by both internal and external problems. Reed Industries' stock plummeted, circling the drain. I took the opportunity to buy up large quantities of shares at a low price, and in one final move, I acquired the company. To the victor go the spoils. Iris packed her things and left, but that was just me taking back the material things I had given her. The emotional debt hadn't been collected yet. Iris was no fool. When she failed, she immediately started looking for a way to get back on her feet. She reached out to a guy who used to have a crush on her, the love-sick son of a New York City tycoon. One wanted money, the other wanted a trophy wife. It was a perfect match. 2 months later, I heard they were getting engaged. Noah's family was invited to the engagement party. On the day of the party, Noah made a point to toast Iris and handed her a journal. A gift from Liam. It was my diary, the one I had kept since I was 12 years old, filled with all my teenage angst and dreams. Iris took the journal and started reading. It was filled with my observations of her, my love for her, my insecurities, and the depth of my feelings. February 11th, 2021. Iris's family is in trouble. Dad said they might go bankrupt. I cried and begged him and my uncles to invest. Dad didn't want to at first, but I went on a hunger strike for 3 days, and he finally gave in. February 28th, 2021. There wasn't enough capital. Iris was so stressed. I heard my uncles had some promising projects up for bid, so I shamelessly went to beg them again. This time, I had to use my dad's reputation. The Kents are a tight-knit family, so when my uncles thought it was my dad's wish, they agreed to help Iris. When my dad found out later, he was so angry he didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. He said I was a lost cause. But Iris is destined for greatness. March 8th, 2023. Our 2nd anniversary. I fell from the stage and bled a lot. Noah was terrified I was going to die and kept calling Iris, crying. But she didn't answer. I thought she must be really busy, but she was out celebrating another guy's birthday. March 10th, 2023. Iris knows that I know about the other guy. She probably feels guilty, so she's been nicer to me. I thought to myself, if she doesn't mess up again and can keep treating me this well, I can just pretend I don't know anything. March 25th, 2023. Iris said she wanted to take me to Mount Washington. I was really looking forward to it. I heard that if a couple is meant to be, they'll be blessed and stay together forever. But she chose to leave me behind and go to him instead. Standing on the side of that road, my heart ached. In the past, when she was cold and distant, I could pretend not to notice. I was willing to give her another chance, but she abandoned me again for him. I knew then that we were completely finished. I had tried to convince myself to give her a chance. I gave her that chance, and she didn't take it. She had said that if she ever lied again, I could do whatever I wanted. I remembered those words. So from now on, You will pay the price for your actions. An adult has to have that kind of awareness. June 2nd, 2023. Iris's company went bankrupt. Karma's a bitch. But I'm not that happy. Is it because I still have feelings for her? August 10th, 2023, 3. I heard Iris is getting engaged tomorrow. She kept saying she loved me, but 6 months later she's about to start a new life with someone else. It's true what they say. A woman's words are all lies. But it still hurts. I thought that with time I would forget Iris, that I would stop loving her, but I can't. If it were possible, if Iris were willing to come back, I wonder, could we start over? As Iris read my journal, her eyes grew red. She grabbed Noah's arm and asked him where I was. Her soon-to-be fiancé heard her and shrieked, "Iris, what are you doing? What do you mean asking where Liam Kent is at our engagement party? Are you trying to get back with him? Don't even think about it. Look at yourself now. I'm the only one who would still want you." The guy had a lot of fight in him. When he saw that Iris was completely ignoring him, he slapped her twice across the face. The scene devolved into chaos. Noah told me later that after getting hit, Iris just walked out of the engagement party. The guy's parents announced on the spot that they would never do any business with Iris in the future. Just like that, the new path she had found was completely cut off. Gossip travels fast in the business world. It took Chloe and me 6 hours to hike to the summit of Mount Washington. She was scrolling through the latest gossip on her phone and showed it to me. Still have feelings for your ex? The article was a dramatic retelling of my and Iris's love-hate relationship, claiming I was still waiting for her. I scoffed. Didn't you help me write that? Chloe scratched her head, remembering. Well, it looks like your ex-wife still has feelings for you. I laughed. I used to have feelings for her too, but she ditched me on the side of a highway. She can run, so why can't I? Chloe raised an eyebrow and dropped the subject. The journal was just bait. The choice was entirely in Iris's hands, and she chose to dump that guy. To outsiders, it looked like Iris had called off her engagement for me, that her feelings for me ran deep. But only I knew the truth. She just saw me as a better option than that other guy, someone who could help her get back to the top. Too bad for her. I was only giving her a choice. I never planned on giving her a happy ending. Like I said, I wanted to make her sick, and I wanted to make her pay. The wise avoid love, while fools drown in tears.